guys, we are done with geometry. We done got in shape. We're ready to go now. We're ready to get into our next and final unit of 6th grade, statistics. Starting with, what is a statistical question? Okay, statistics is all about gathering data, whatever you want to say, I don't care. Potato, right? If you're going to gather data, you got to ask the right questions, okay? You got to ask a question that you could get a lot of different possible answers for. If I'm going to get the same answer every time, that's not a good statistical question. So let's take a look at the definition first. A statistical question, by definition, is a question that can be answered by collecting data that varies. Now, we've talked about this. We've talked about variable, the ability for it to change or have multiple answers, right? Not just one simple answer. A statistical question is going to give us lots of possible answers, not just one. So take a look at some examples. For example, how many siblings do my students have? Okay, that's me asking how many siblings do you have, and you have, and you have, and you have. I'm going to get a lot of different answers from that, right? How many hours a week do my students spend on TikTok? Probably way more than I want to know about, right? But if I were to ask everybody, I'd be getting different answers. An hour, 2 hours, 15 hours, 10 minutes. It is what it is, right? Those are great statistical questions. We can get lots of possible answers. Now look at some non-examples. These are not statistical questions. How old are you? Okay? How old are you? How many answers am I going to get off that? One. I'm only going to get one answer. Not a good statistical question. Okay? How many hours a week do I spend on TikTok? Okay? Again, just one answer, not several answers. Okay? So that's, if we're going to ask a good statistical question, we got to ask a question like this, where I can get a lot of different answers. Not like this, where I'm only going to get one answer. We want to have a lot of data, okay? All right, that's all for that. Now, challenge for today, okay? I got a challenge for you. In the chat, I want you to type a statistical question. And then, after we've got a bunch of statistical questions, I want you to go answer some. And I'm going to be using this data in some of my later videos, okay? So go into the comments, give me an example of a statistical question to you, and then go answer somebody's statistical question, and I'm going to gather a bunch of data, and we're going to use it for later videos, okay? Dang, that's all the time we have for today, Bird Brains. Until next time. Oh!